So by the time that I hit Thanksgiving, I'm basically like at my wit's end. And between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I went home to New York and I like stayed with my parents. And I basically was like, I felt better kind of sort of in New York, but everything was just hard. Like being in New York City is not the ideal place if you're somebody who has migraine episodes. And at this point, I am having an active migraine every single day. So it's not abating and nobody knows what to do. While I'm in New York, I see a neurologist at Weill Cornell, and she's basically like, you get migraines now. And I am like, no, I do not. Now, in fairness to her, she's an excellent neurologist. I was a pain in the ass. I basically was like, I don't get migraines, which I didn't up until this point. And I kept asking the question, like, what would bring this on? What would trigger this? And of course, there's a variety of factors that are going to cause migraine episodes, but I could not wrap my head around the fact that like I had never had these happen to me before, and all of a sudden my world had come crashing down. And at this point, like emotionally, I am a wreck. Like I am a shell of a human being. I cannot go out. Like my poor boyfriend at the time, like the man was a saint, and I literally was like, I can't go anywhere and I can't do anything. And oh, by the way, I'm having active anxiety attacks every single day. And the neurologist is pretty much like, you should take gabapentin. I'm like, okay, like let's just see what happens. So I get prescribed gabapentin, and that causes SI. Now, I'm very grateful that I understand like how my anxiety presents and how my mind works. The moment that I took gabapentin, for me, I had the highest level of an SI incident that I think I've ever had, to the point where I was unable to go home to my apartment one day because I had taken the gabapentin. I was walking, and all of a sudden I was having those really like quick, not passive suicidal ideation thoughts. And I knew that if I went home, there was the potential that I would hurt myself because I felt out of control with who I was. And that is so far from my typical presentation of anxiety and or depression. I'm very lucky that I've never had SI before. So it scared the shit out of me that I had taken something that was supposed to help my nervous system, help my anxiety, help me cope with everything that was going on, and instead had that adverse effect of sending me into the depths of a very significant depression. So I decided to stop the gabapentin, and then I went back to Boston. Now, the moment that I got back to Boston, I just became sick as a dog again. From like December through, March, I could not function. At this point in time, I'm basically like covering my eyes and my ears just to like move. I have to wear a baseball cap everywhere I go. I have to wear sunglasses inside. Any noise, any version of a vibration, if the AC turned on, if the person beneath me ran their faucet, I worked around the corner from the bathrooms, and I literally could feel in my physical body when somebody ran the sink or flushed the toilet. And it's not that presentation of like, oh, I hear it. It's, I can feel the vibration like move through my nerves. And it's so weird because you are basically walking around like a raw nerve to the point where nothing helps. And then one night, I figured out why nothing was helping. I'm in my apartment, and I, at this point, have now had a full-blown panic attack to the point that I am like inconsolable. And I have I forget what I did. I think I I had FaceTimed with my mom, and I went to sleep. And I woke up from a dead sleep at like 11:30 at night, and I could not breathe. And I pretty much was like, you have to call 911. And before I called 911, I was like, okay, like think about it. This can be a panic attack. You can just be experiencing an incredibly high sensation of like something being wrong, but not everything actually being wrong. And that was one of the things that I had to navigate when having all of this super high nervous system responses. Like is it actually an emergency, or is my mind and body trying to tell me that it's an emergency, but it really isn't? And I woke up from a dead sleep and I'm literally like, holy shit, I can't breathe. I roll myself out of bed and basically like army crawl to the bathroom to go find a Benadryl because I think I'm having an allergic reaction to something. And I open my bedroom door and my entire living room is filled with cigarette smoke. And this is why I wasn't getting better. I had been living in an environment where the person below me, as I would later find out, had been dating somebody who was a chain smoker. And the person had been smoking outside because it had been nicer in Boston. So they would chain smoke before they came into the apartment. When it got cold, they were coming inside and they were smoking in the apartment, like next to a window that was directly next to the vent that fed into my apartment. And so it was horrifying and relieving at the same time to discover that like the reason I wasn't getting better, the reason that the gabapentin and the Toradol and the Nurtec and the Excedrin migraine and the Tylenol and the Advil and like literally everything wasn't working was because it didn't stand a chance. Because every single night when I was going to bed, and I was going to bed at like 8 or 9 o'clock because I couldn't handle it, every single night when I went to bed, my living room was filling with cigarette smoke, and then it would be dissipating by the morning because he would stop smoking at like 11:30 or 12 o'clock at night. Now, if you are somebody who suffers from migraines, you understand that cigarette smoke is one of the highest triggers to set off a migraine. So every single time I would try to get better, I would feel better when I was outside, when I was at school, when I was breathing in fresh air. What would happen is that the moment I went home and I went to bed, my body was being flooded with cigarette smoke that then restricts the veins. And all of a sudden, I am now back in fight or flight trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Now, was it helpful to discover that somebody was smoking downstairs? Yes. Did that resolve everything? No.